So, how does this thing work? Let's find out. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Music Guide. This is episode 5. I thought we could just do a bit more about what we did in the first episode. So in the first episode we talked about things that you should get, sort of a buyer's guide for getting stuff on a budget, and we talked a little bit about audio interfaces. I thought it'd be a pretty good idea to sort of go into what audio interfaces do, why you need one, and also the sort of bells and whistles on the bigger ones. The ones I showed you in the first video were it was a small interface. I'm actually plugged into it right now. It's the Scarlett 2x2. The reason I plugged into it right now is because I wanted to show you guys my bigger interface. It has a bit more to it, so sort of show you guys what you're getting if you're actually thinking about upgrading and getting something bigger. All the little things you may not know are possible with a larger interface like this one. So let's start with what they do. Audio interfaces at their core are just converters that take an analog signal, which is the electrical signal from a microphone like this one, and then they convert it into a digital signal, like binary ones and zeros, something that a computer can actually hear. You kind of need it to convert to a digital signal unless you're recording to tape, which no one does anymore really, except for a very small amount of large studios. So yeah, if you're going to be recording with a laptop or a computer, you're going to need to be converting to a digital signal. And then in turn, it'll also not just convert analog to digital, it'll also convert digital to analog too. So it means you can hear it back immediately in headphones or speakers, or you can output it to different devices. So in a way, this is it's kind of your central hub of your entire setup. So I'm going to show you guys what mine looks like right now. So this here is the Behringer Euphoria UMC 1820. The number 1820 will come up a lot with these kind of interfaces, these 1U 19-inch rack mount interfaces. The reason for that is because these larger interfaces are typically 18 input, 20 output. And what that means is that it has 18 ways to plug stuff into it and 20 ways to plug stuff out of it and go to other devices. So let me show you guys the obvious ones. So you got the mic inputs and jack inputs. These are just, bog standard. This is what this will plug into. So this one actually has 2 in the front and 6 at the back, for a total of 8. So that's 8 of the inputs that we're on about. And yeah, those are just the box standard ones. You know you're going to get them. And if your interface doesn't have them, then you have a very weird interface. But then on the back, you also have these here, which are SPDIF. Not used that often, but you got the input right there. That's another input. And then you also have all these here other things here. I'll actually explain them in more detail in a second. They all kind of need their own segment of the video to go through. And then you also have your outputs, and your outputs count as your headphone jacks, which are right here. So that's just for headphones. There's 2 of them here, so you can add on. You can have 2 people listening at once and whatnot. Right here, you've got your main outputs. These are for your speakers. And then you've got 8 more assignable outputs. These allow you to basically send either the same signal out to different speakers, different devices, or you can actually use your software and send very specific information out. So say for example you are a drummer and all you want is the bass and vocals of a full band. What you can actually do is you can say plug his headphones into 3, and then in the software you just send those tracks out through 3, and that allows him to hear his own mix separate to the main mix. So it means you can listen away to everything and he can just hear what he wants to hear. And you can also adjust volumes and stuff like that and get really specific. But yeah, that's them. And then you also have phantom power. We talked about that quite a bit actually. when I was talking about recording vocals, and the first video I did about this kind of stuff. So phantom power is right here. It's just 48 volts of power that you send to microphones like this one, condenser microphones. They need power to work. So this interface has the option to send phantom power to channels 1 through 4, and then 5 through 8, and then both. The reason you only want to send to specific ones is because some microphones can't accept phantom power. Ribbon microphones in particular will be destroyed by phantom power. So you need to, if you're planning on using any mics that don't require phantom power alongside mics that require phantom power, you best find an interface that lets you control which channels get it and which ones don't. It's just safer, and I wouldn't send phantom power to a microphone that doesn't need it. And like I said before, some microphones don't bode well with it. So yeah, be careful with that. So in the back here, I said we were going to mention more stuff about the inputs and outputs here. We also have MIDI. This is a very old standard. This is just a way of plugging in MIDI devices. The most common is MIDI keyboards, and sometimes MIDI drums. These are just ways of controlling virtual instruments within your computer, within software. So if you want to record virtual piano and you want like a really realistic sound and you want to just play it as if you're playing piano, you would use a MIDI controller, a MIDI piano, and that will trigger all the sounds within it as if you're really playing it. It's like a glorified mouse basically, and this is an old standard of being able to do that. Nowadays you just use USB, but I still use this because my keyboard is quite old. I'm actually using a really old Casio, and it has these on it. And plus it saves me having to find drivers because I use a PC, I don't use a Mac. Sometimes you need drivers for your MIDI devices and USB especially. So this here just covers that. If I have a driver for this, it means the MIDI will work with it no matter what you plug into it. So it's MIDI input and output. So input allows you to input information with your MIDI device, and then output lets you output to the MIDI device. So then we also have ADDUP. ADDUP is very common on these bigger interfaces. The reason for that is it allows you to expand your inputs and outputs. So say for example you have your 8 input right here and you decide you want to start recording big live bands and you need more mics. The way you can do that is you can get another unit. It looks very like this one, but all it has is just the inputs and the outputs on it. It doesn't really have anything else. And then you can plug it together, daisy chain it pretty much with this here. Basically that just allows you to have more inputs and outputs for your recording. So if you want something bigger, this here can have a max of 16. There are devices that actually have 2 pairs of these here inputs and outputs. They allow you to do up to 24. They're a bit more expensive though. This is actually a pretty budget interface. So I will actually link it in the description if you guys want to actually take a look at this here one if you're looking for something a bit bigger. And then you also just have your USB in there as well. When you're actually using these here interfaces, these can be used with any software. So no matter what music software you have, this will work with it. All you have to do is, if you have a PC, download the drivers. Always download drivers. It just saves you a whole lot of hassle. And then simply just go into whatever software you have. And every software is different about how it recognizes things, but usually it will actually just pop up automatically. But if you need help, you'd probably be best going on to your manufacturer of the software and actually just go through them. Commonly asked questions. It's probably one of the top things asked. This interface is actually quite cool as well because it has something on here that I didn't even know it had when I got it. Funny enough, I knew about all this here stuff in the back, but I never actually thought to look at this. There's actually a monitoring mix knob right here. This allows you to balance between what you are recording. So let's say for example you're recording vocals like I am right now. This signal that's being picked up is actually going back into my system, but you can also listen back to it in your headphones so you can hear yourself, and then you can listen alongside whatever you've recorded previously. This allows you to balance between what you've recorded previously and the thing you're listening to, like the recording that you're doing right now. It just allows you to get a better balance of everything. It's just nice and very, very handy. It's saved me a lot of hassle having to go into my software and move things around. In this case, I can just, you know, turn it up or down with a simple knob. But yeah, also this here can be used as a desktop interface. It has little rubber feet here, so you can actually unscrew these here and just have it as a desktop thing. I actually screw it into a big box here that I'm using for portability. It means you can just close up the box and take it with you, but you can do whatever. It screws right into a rack, and that's what it's built for. If you end up getting another unit to add on to the inputs and outputs, you can add that on and just have it right underneath it, and it makes it as if it's one big unit. I would actually highly recommend this if you need the inputs. The only reason I got this here is because I am planning on doing some live sessions later on, as soon as I get back to uni. So this here just gives me the option of having more mic inputs. I'm actually going to upgrade to the 16, like I said before, later on this summer, and then it'll allow me to record as many mics as I pretty much need. I'll not need any more than 16. This here's a great option if you need the inputs. It's definitely less than £200. I need to double check that, but I will link in the description if you guys want to get it. But it's a brilliant little interface. I love it. And it's Behringer. Behringer gets a really bad rep. This is actually a great interface. I love it. It's clear, it's clean. Go to any of the songs I've recorded on Spotify, whatever, and you will hear exactly what this here sounds like. All the songs I've recorded in the last few months have all been on this. So yeah, don't knock it till you try it. And I've tried it, and I can't knock it. So yeah, that's pretty much how this interface works, and how pretty much most interfaces work. Anything bigger than this one, you'll be spending thousands on, and you'll probably know your stuff. And then anything smaller than this here, it's just less things. So yeah, this is pretty much as big as you're going to get for sort of home studio stuff. Anything small in this here, it's just going to be the same stuff, just probably, you know, either cut down, less bells and whistles on it. So yeah, highly recommended. I would go for it. Another good option is the Scarlett 18920. This is pretty much the exact same one as I'm using now, the same inputs, the same preamps, but it just has more to it. It's pretty much exactly like this, except it has the Scarlett preamps in it, which I love them too. So yeah, just make sure you know what you're buying. Look online. Hopefully this here helped you out with this here one in particular, but pretty much most are like this here. Go for a good brand, reputable brand, and just be careful with what you buy. So yeah, that's me. If you want to say something, leave a comment. If you liked it, leave a like, and subscribe if you have the time. And I'll see you all in the next video. This is our song.